Now let's go to page 15, point number 4, conjugation of verbs and adjectives, and take a look at the basic conjugation rule. The basic form or the dictionary form of verbs and adjectives in the Korean language are written as something something 다. For example, when we say 밥을 먹었어요, somebody ate a meal, the basic form of 먹었어요 is 먹다. When searching through the dictionary, you must look for this basic form. In daily life, the basic form cannot be used as is, but must be conjugated first. Conjugation refers to the verb or adjective stem being combined with a connecting ending or final ending. For example, the stem 먹 of 먹다 is combined with the final ending 어요, indicating the present tense to become 밥을 먹어요, I'm eating. Also, when combined with the connecting ending 어서, you can say 밥을 먹어서 배가 안 고파요. I'm not hungry because I ate. When we look at the adjective 많다, to be many, in the sentence 사람이 많아요, there's a lot of people. It's combined with a final ending in the present tense 아요. When combined with the connecting ending 아서, which indicates the reason for something, it can be conjugated as 사람이 많아서 복잡해요. It is crowded because there are many people. Thus, when used in a phrase or sentence, the verb or adjective forms changes depending on the situation. If you feel like you've forgotten the principles behind this, like what stem to use or how to combine it with an ending, I kindly recommend that you go to lesson 7 of the SEEMILE Korean for Beginners class. There are approximately 20 connecting endings and 30 final endings in the beginner's level of Korean grammar. These endings can be classified into 3 types according to the method of their conjugation. One type depends on whether or not the ending of the syllable right before 다 has a final consonant other than 리을, or ends in a vowel or the consonant 리을. Another type is dependent upon whether or not the last vowel of the stem is either o or a, or the last syllable of the stem is ha. You should keep this in mind when the required ending starts with a or a. The third type of classification involves endings expressed in a single form regardless of the condition of the stem. The grammatical functions and meanings of each will be discussed later. One thing that made it always feel difficult for me to learn English was that I had to memorize all the irregular verbs. And honestly, I used to complain about that a lot. But I quickly realized that the Korean language also has irregularities in its grammar rules. So I realized that there's always the exception when it comes to language learning, no matter the language. So what's the use of complaining, right? But you know what? These days, I don't really have to think so much about how to use irregular verbs. I may still make mistakes here and there, but the irregular forms just come naturally when needed. I know that one of the difficult things about learning Korean is the irregular conjugation of verbs and adjectives, but I'm sure that soon you too will get used to them and use them naturally. Here, let me show you which of the SEEMILE Korean for Beginners class lessons you can use as a reference for further explanation. Another important characteristic of the Korean language is that it uses lots of post-positional particles or markers. You know what? The subject and object in a sentence are classified based on not word order as with English, but on the post-positional marker that's combined with the word. The types of post-positional markers include subjective markers. So, 이가 indicates that the preceding noun is the subject. The auxiliary post-positional markers 는 indicate which word is the topic, and 을 are object markers that indicate the object in a sentence. There are also diverse adverbial case markers which include 에 that indicates time and location, 에서 which indicates location, and 으로 which indicates direction or means. You can find some examples of post-positional markers on page 17 of your book. For more detailed explanation, go to Lesson 5 of the SEEMILE Korean for Beginners class, starting from the 10-minute 52-second mark through to the 12-minute 22-second mark. Pronunciation is also an important aspect of study while preparing for the Topic 1 exam, specifically becoming familiar with the rules of pronunciation. Even though all the Korean consonants and vowels have distinctive sounds, in some cases, the way a word is actually pronounced may be different than the sound expected based on the letters that compose the word. If you're not familiar with how certain words are pronounced by native Koreans, you may not quite get what the speaker is saying in the audio listening session. For example, if you don't know the rule about aspirated sounds and read this word 어떻게, as you're listening to the audio portion, you will hear 어떻게. You may feel like it's an entirely different word than the word you just read, but actually, 어떻게 is the proper way to pronounce it. It's the natural way native Koreans say it. So pages 22 to 24 handle some of the basic pronunciation rules, which is also covered in lesson 4 of the SEEMILE Korean for Beginners video. This topic class also contains a pronunciation practice session, so don't worry too much about it right now. Just try to get used to the rule by reading out loud as much as and as many times as possible while following along with the native speaker's audio recording. That's all for today. We covered some features and structures of Korean language that are essential to knowing how to prepare for the TOPIK exam. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave comments below. See you next class. Bye!